वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6. Prahlada instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Kaumara Acharet Pragno Dharman Bhagavataniha Durlabam Manusham Janma Tadapyadhruvam Arthadam. Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent, should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life, Kaumara. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. Human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary, like other bodies, it is meaningful. Because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. This is Prabhupada is helping us understand. The one who is sufficiently intelligent, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the tender age of childhood to practice activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. Again, we don't have to speculate on this. Giving up all other engagements means what? Means giving up all other engagements. All other engagements means all engagements apart from devotional service have to be given up. For many years, when I used to read statements like this, I always used to give some interpretation. Maybe, working is okay, maybe this is okay, maybe that is okay. But no, this is clear. This is all other engagements have to be given up. Which is why Krishna says Sarvadharman Pariteja. Krishna says give up all engagements and come and surrender to me. Then he says Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful. He's giving the process of devotional service even without full surrender initially, even without giving up all other engagements initially. But eventually we have to come to that stage of giving up all other engagements. And human body is most rarely achieved. It is meaningful because one can perform devotional service. This is very important. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Slight amount. Of course, this slight amount depends on from devotee to devotee, but slight in the overall perspective of so many lifetimes, so this is very slight, very little compared to the overall amount of time we have spent in this material world. This time might be very, very less because devotional service, pure devotional service is so powerful. The whole purpose of Vedic civilization and of reading the Vedas is to attain the perfect stage of devotional service in the human form of life. According to the Vedic system, therefore, from the very beginning of life, the brahmacharya system is introduced so that from one's very childhood, from the age of 5 years, one can practice modifying one's human activities so as to engage perfectly in devotional service. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. One second. Even a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Modern civilization, not referring to the verdicts of Vedic literature, is so cruel to the members of the human society that instead of teaching children to become brahmacharis, it teaches mothers to kill their children even in the womb on the plea of curbing the increase of population. And if by chance a child is saved, he is educated only for sense gratification. Gradually, throughout the entire world, human society is losing interest in the perfection of life. Actually, people don't even know anything like there is anything like perfection of life, isn't it? Most people think that the goal of life is nice sense gratification without disturbance. Who is successful in life? Who is able to have sense gratification without disturbance? He is successful. So karma, the whole goal of life ends in karma only. That's it. No understanding of moksha or anything. So indeed, men are living like cats and dogs, spoiling the duration of their human lives by actually it again to the degraded species among the 84 lakh forms of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is anxious. We were discussing this yesterday. We should be anxious to serve human society by teaching people to perform devotional service, which can save a human being from being degraded again to human life. See, such a powerful statements. One must be anxious. One must save human beings. Mhm. So, uh, we are starting this new program across our preaching centers, which is called Path to Happiness, Revival of Sanatana Dharma. So the idea is to actually we are anxious to serve human society and we want to try and save human beings. It's the same thing, bhakti, process of bhakti, but just in a way being presented in a way that they can understand, mm, helping them understand why it is required, how the society is in such a bad situation, how can be rectified, like that. And devotees from today are possibly going to go out and introduce this concept to people. So may request all other Vaishnavas here to pray that they can be successful in bringing more and more, saving more and more human beings. As already stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Bhagavata Dharma consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archana Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. In all the schools, colleges, and universities, and at home, all children and youth should be taught to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Prabhupada's idea of education. In other words, they should be taught to hear the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, to put them into practice in their lives, and thus to become strong in devotional service, free from fear of being degraded to human life. This is the bhaya. Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This mahat bhaya is to degrade to human life. So Prabhupada is saying, you teach them instructions of Bhagavad Gita, let them put them into practice in their lives, and they'll become strong in devotional service, and then there's no question of degrading to animal life. Following Bhagavata Dharma has been made extremely easy in this age of Kali. Shastra says Harer Nama, Harer Nama. One need only chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Everyone engaged in the practice of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will be completely cleansed from the core of his heart and be saved from the cycle of birth and death. And we should see this cleansing happening, right? And we should understand if suppose our cleansing has stopped or it has become stagnant, which means that there is some deficiency. We should increase our sadhana because cleansing cannot stop. Mm, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one should act only for purification. So whatever we do should only keep purifying us more and more and more because that is a qualification to even come to the stage of prema and all that is very later stages. right? So initially it is just about being purified, and coming to the stage of understanding I'm spirit soul, and that is Brahma Bhuta, right? And then only further progress. So, and if we are seeing that our cleansing has stopped, our purification has stopped, or um, uh, if suppose say impurities are coming into our hearts, then that means it's a serious red signal. We need to then take corrective action. Mm. So very, very important. A slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. The important is sincere. That is why I keep repeating this: sincere, serious, sincere, serious, sincere, serious. This is the path to perfection. यथा हि पुरुषस्येह विष्णोपादोपसर्पणम् यदेष सर्वभूतानां प्रिय आत्मेश्वरः सुहृत्. The human form of life affords one chance to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Vishnu. Every living being, every human being should engage in devotional service. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu is the most beloved, the master of the soul and the well-wisher. Surut. Krishna also says, Bhagavad Gita, Surutam Sarvabhutanam. So he is the Surut, he is the well-wisher. Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Surutam Sarvabhutanam. Simply by understanding these three facts, that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of the entire creation, he is the best well-wishing friend of all living entities, and that he is the Bhoktaram, supreme enjoyer of everything. One becomes peaceful. Gnatva shantim richati. And once somebody is peaceful, then one becomes happy. Now, this is the peace formula. Just remembering this at all times. If suppose say we are in some disturbed state of mind, we have to just remember this verse. He is the boss. He is the supreme boss. He is our well-wishing friend. Hmm. So he will take care of everything. And and the reason why we are having some distress is because we are trying to be enjoyers. No, 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 I'm not the enjoyer. He is the supreme enjoyer. Whenever we get into some sense gratificatory mode, we have to remember this, that I'm not the enjoyer. He is the enjoyer. And whenever we are in distress, we should remember this. That's all. Then one can be peaceful. For this transcendental happiness, the living entity has wandered throughout the universe. For this transcendental happiness, being dependent on Krishna is transcendental happiness. One living entity has wandered throughout the universe in different forms of life and different planetary systems because he has forgotten his intimate relationship, not some distant relationship, intimate relationship with Vishnu. He has merely suffered life after life. Therefore, the educational system in the human form of life should be so perfect that one will understand his intimate relationship with God. This is what we have to educate children, humans, adults. Everybody has to be educated in this. Every living entity has an intimate relationship with God. One should therefore glorify the Lord in the adoration of Shantarasa, or revive his eternal relationship with Vishnu as a servant in Dasya Rasa, a friend in Sakya Rasa, a parent in Vatsalya Rasa, or a conjugal lover in Madhurya Rasa. All these relationships are on the platform of love. Vishnu is the center of love for everyone, and therefore the duty of everyone is to engage in the loving service of the Lord. And we've all been searching for this love. This is what actually we've been searching. We've been searching for this love without knowing what it is or where it is, without knowing that it is in relationship with Krishna. And we've been trying to get that in material relationships. Prabhupada used to say that, if they don't get it amongst humans, then they'll go to dogs. They'll keep pet dogs because that is their need for love. As stated by the Supreme Person of Godhead, Yeshamaham Priya Atma Sutascha Sakha Guruhu Surudo Daivamishtham. Any form of life we are related with Vishnu, who is the most beloved super soul, son, friend, and guru. Our eternal relationship with God can be revived in the human form of life That should be the goal of education. Indeed, that is the perfection of life and the perfection of education. Right? So, this devotional service has to be revived. And like I say, that devotional service is dormant in the heart of the jiva. And the loving service can be revived only by another devotee. Only bhakti can revive bhakti. No other material act of punya. So that whole process is given, response is given to devotees. Then go out and revive the devotion of others. And by doing so, our bhakti will also increase. Mm. So this is the peace formula. So for those who are troubled by the material world, please remember this. Are troubled by material desires, please remember this. This is the peace formula. Sukham Aindriyakam Daitya Deha Yogena Dehinam Sarvatra Labhyate Daivat Yata Dukkham Ayatnataha. Maharaja Prahlad Maharaja continued. My dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness received with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life, even in the life of a pig. And that's according to one's past fruitive activities. That's it. We can't do anything about it now. Whatever we've done previously, we are just enjoying or suffering. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. We have to remember this. Daivat. Daivat. Yatha dukkham ayatnataha. Similarly, sukham is also got. Sukham aindriyakam. That is the sukham connected with the indriya. Labhyate. Sarvatra labhyate. Everywhere, in all forms of life. And how is it obtained? Daivat. By karma phala. Just like yatha dukkham ayatnataha. Without endeavor, you get dukkha. Similarly, without endeavor, sukha will also come. You don't have to endeavor for that. That endeavor has already happened in the previous life. Now, some new endeavor is not required to get sukham in this life. Now, whatever endeavor you do is going to result in this life, is going to result in sukham or dukkham in your next life. So then somebody might ask, okay, so if there is some distress, should we not try to get a remedy at all for the distress? What is the answer? If everything is predestined, then why should we even strive for anything?
Chant Hare Krishna.
No. Why should we try anything? Why should we do any work? Everything is predestined.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think nature of the soul is that it cannot be idle. So we have to
No,
put
that's not the
the
answer
soul.
for this question, right? My question is like, if everything is predestined, why do we have to do any work connected to material? Okay, we can do chanting, we can do spiritual activities. Why do we have to, suppose say somebody is unwell, should they go to the doctor or not?
Yeah, they should.
Why? Because it's already predestined, no?
Hare Krishna promotes to maintain our body with soul.
No, but maintaining a body is not in our hands. That's what I'm trying to say. Maintaining the body is predestined.
Varnashna Dharma.
Why should we go to the doctor?
Because you have to keep the body and soul together in order
Yeah,
to
but if you go to
harness.
the doctor, is there any guarantee?
Yes, there is no guarantee.
So why should we go? See, these are basic philosophy, basics. We should be very, very clear. See, the way karma phala works is that if suppose say there is a solution the solution also will have a corresponding action that will be tied to it. So for example, if suppose say there is a cure for some problem, the cure will have a certain action which will also have to be done along with it. And because that solution is there in that jiva's life, that corresponding action will also come alongside, which means that if somebody has to get a cure for the disease, then maybe one person's cure is just home remedy, another person's cure is doctor, for somebody else maybe there's no cure at all, right? So for based on how that karma phala is going to pan out, accordingly corresponding actions are also built in. So for somebody who has to get well only by going to a doctor, he situations will become such that he will go to the doctor. So it's not even that going to the doctor is already predestined, because the solution for us is through going to the doctor. So we are simply following the modes of nature, that's all. That is why Krishna is saying modes of nature are the only things which are playing here. We are not doing anything. We are being forced to do. We're being pushed to do based on the modes. But it so appears that we are doing it independently. It only appears like that. The only independent activity that we can do is bhakti. That doesn't depend on our karma phala. That is why human form of life, the energy should not be wasted on material activities, because that is anyway already predestined and whatever is required will happen. And so many people will say, okay, no, I have I have too much work, so I will not do devotion. No, that we have to endeavor only for devotion. Everything else is already, we are going like a machine. It's already happening. And in case we get some break in the midst of all these problems in our life, that time should be utilized for devotion. Because that is the only thing which is not predetermined. Is this clear? So we'll be
Yes.
forced to act. We'll be forced to act.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Sorry for one small doubt and question, if I may ask.
Yeah.
Is free will, how does it play here? Like if we are forced and if we want to change the course of action,
Yeah.
can our free will change our karma?
Yeah. Free will is we have to know first of all what is the opportunity for us to exercise free will. Where is the opportunity to exercise free will? Now, when karma is playing out, mostly free will might not have any place. But as a reaction to a karma, we can exercise free will. So, for example, somebody slapped us. Now, as a reaction to that karma, we can decide whether we want to slap him back or whether we want to just keep quiet. So, but it's very difficult to determine the opportunities for exercising free will, because it's very tightly intertwined with the karma phala itself coming. So we don't know, whether this is a result of karma phala or whether it is of a free will. So generally, free will, generally we can understand free will as when there is an option for action. You can either do this or do that. Maybe it is free will, maybe, because even karma phala manifests that way only. But one definite way to use free will is to use our time in Krishna consciousness. That is a definite use of free will. As in, then we are very clear that we are actually using our free will. But when it comes to material decisions, it may or may not be our free will. It could be preordained also. It's difficult to distinguish, separate.
Okay.
Right? And in general, like when something is thrust on us, it is karma phala. When we have an option, it is free will. It's not 100% accurate, but somewhat we can think like that. Meaning, if you are forced to do something, then it is karma phala. If you have few options and you can exercise one or the other, then you can do if you do based on Guru Sadhu Shastra, then you can say, okay, I used my free will. But difficult to distinguish. Spiritual activity is very clearly free will. That okay?
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could say that spiritual activity material is more complicated and bound, but we can exercise our free will in coming out of it towards spiritual life.
Yeah, that is one. And even in material, when we can't identify when what we are doing is a result of previous action, when we are creating new action. What is a reaction? What is a new action? That we can't very easily differentiate. Because that is why karmano gahano gatihi, Krishna says, like this karma is very, very complex. It's very difficult to say. It could be a reaction or it could be a new action. We don't know. So we have to be careful. So it could be maybe that it is actually a new action and that that's an opportunity for us to exercise our free will, but we don't know because we are getting driven by our nature, right? So it's difficult, but generally we can think saying that if we got some option where we are directing ourselves away from bondage towards devotion, that's possibly we can say good use of free will.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, purport. In the material world, in any form of life, there is some so-called happiness and so-called distress. No one invites distress in order to suffer, but still it comes. We have to understand this. Distress comes, nobody wants it, but it still comes whenever it has to come. Similarly, this is very, very important. Similarly, even if we do not endeavor to obtain advantages of material happiness, we shall obtain them automatically. Please write this down, print it on like a big sheet of paper and stick it in front of you. Because this is something that I struggled for many years, always thinking somehow that I have to do something for happiness. And what do people think? That we have to do something for getting happiness, we have to do something to keep away distress. Both are not possible. Both are ordained. So we don't have to endeavor for happiness. It will just come automatically. Just like we don't endeavor for distress and it comes automatically. And Prabhupada is summarizing this happiness and distresses are obtainable in any form of life without endeavor. We don't have to endeavor. Material happiness, distress, we don't have to endeavor. It is already determined. It will happen when the time comes. Is that clear? This has to go into our psyche. We have to change the way we approach life. Material happiness, distress they come of their own accord based on our karma phala. That's all. Or for a surrendered soul, it is Krishna's mercy. That's all. There is no question of us getting some happiness. And if suppose if we've done some action which is considered good, etc., then that is for future happiness, not this life's happiness. See, thus there is no need to waste time and energy fighting against distress or working very hard for happiness. It can't get any further clearer than this. Just that we can't digest this. We can't digest these four statements. There is no need to waste time and energy. Okay, but when there is a need for self-preservation, then we just work as much as is required. Now, what this as much as is required is a big question, like I was saying. For somebody, it is to, reduce work. For somebody, it is to finish off work in few years. For somebody, it is something else. It totally depends on the situation, the mindset, the surrender of the devotee, so many things. But just simply you have enough, you're just still working very hard to accumulate more and more is simply gross waste of time. So every grihastha, it might seem revolutionary that this thought process, but every grihastha has to draw a line in his earning life, saying this much is required for future maintenance, and as soon as that comes in, stop working. It might seem scary for many, but it's really not. And this is the recommended process for us, for grihasthas. It's not that we are not expected to work till we drop dead. So yesterday I had one conversation with one devotee regarding this. So like this, slowly one by one, and I want us to set some standards here, right, of Grihastha of Vanaprastha. How how a devotee, Grihastha devotee should exit, and he should exit. It's not that he's going to remain like this forever. And it's what Shastra wants it. It's not something. It's not like bungee jumping. Bungee jumping is not in the Shastra. It could give you the kicks. Oh, it's so risky. This is not risky. This is actually what is required to be done, because it's going to take us to Krishna. Okay, any questions about this? So the summary is, till we require, we will endeavor, but we have to be clear how much is required, and then once that is reached, then that's it. And that also is not some endless desire for how much is required. It's a very practical calculation based on person's family situation, responsibilities, etc., etc. One has to decide, okay, this much is required. Okay, I have so much. This much more is required, and then I'm done. It's that simple. Our only business, again, please underline, only. Our only business in human form life should be to revive our relationship with the Supreme Lord, and thus become qualified to return home back to God. This is our only business. This maintenance is side business. Can't help it, like that. But we don't get too attached to, work and some, I'm doing some major path-breaking work and I'm so attached to this work. And no, just work to maintain family. Like I said, with a mindset to come out, because our only business is to revive our relationship and go back to Krishna. This is our only business. And this word business is very, very important. Material happiness and distress come as soon as we accept a material body. As soon as we don't have to do anything, we cannot avoid such happiness and distress under any circumstances. Of course, we can avoid in the sense when somebody completely surrenders to Krishna, Krishna might take away that distress. That's a different thing. Otherwise, we cannot avoid. Best use of human life, therefore, lies in reviving our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So focus on this. Focus on reviving our relationship. No, relationship means there has to be a relationship. What is that relationship? So first we have to determine that relationship. For which what we should do? What we should do to revive our relationship, to know what our relationship is. This is test exam question. I've already given the answers before, but I want to see how
Read
many
Krishna
of you
book, Prabhu.
Yeah, read Krishna book. Not read Krishna book as such. Yeah, Krishna's pastimes. And because we take tens of years to finish Bhagavatam, solution is to read Krishna book. But the point is that we have to actually go into Srimad Bhagavatam, get past 9 cantos, and then read 10 canto, and maybe repeatedly read 10th canto. Till, of course, finishing Bhagavatam once, and then other things have to go on, and then our repeated effort should be to, keep hearing about Krishna's pastimes to figure out where we stand, where our heart lies. And only by repeated hearing can that happen. It's not some imagination. Some devotees think that generally, oh, yeah, I think I have dasya, I have, dasya relationship with Krishna. And what is the reason? If I ask why, no answer. So because we are Sanatana, we are eternally servants. But all rasas are servitorship only. Everything is servant only. Everybody is a servant. So then that means that we have not heard. We don't know. So we have to hear. We have to hear, read, associate with like-minded devotees. Actually, what you should do is this should be closed group discussions, not open group discussions, not discussions recorded on WhatsApp or on Zoom. Some set of devotees should come together who think that they are of the same, they're like-minded in some sense, right? Uh, and then sit together and discuss, read and discuss Krishna's pastimes. This is ideal. Then something will happen. Okay, if that is not possible, then at least devotees should read by themselves with absorption, putting their heart into the subject, and then eventually we will come to know, we'll get attracted towards something. But don't think that, all our life we have to just keep, like mechanically just keep reading, okay, Bhagavad Gita over, Bhagavatam over, Nectar of Devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita, okay, again I'm reading. But till now I have not developed any kind of attraction, nothing. Just I'm being like a parrot, mechanically just simply reading. That's not of much use. Okay, I mean, see, then there is Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti, and Vaidhi Bhakti is this path saying that nothing, no emotions come up, right? It's just purely mechanical. Okay, I've been asked to do, I'm doing. I'm being asked to do, I'm doing. Nothing is happening. I'm reading, I don't feel anything. Okay, fine, keep reading. But the best thing when such a thing happening in our life is to find devotees with whom we should read. And those devotees ideally should be at least one step ahead of us. Then bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. From bhakti, bhakti arouses, gets aroused. So then when we associate and discuss in the association of such devotees, then our dormant emotions will wake up. That is devotion. Devotion means dormant emotions. It's not like we're not practicing to become a machine. Heart has to melt. How will the heart melt if the heart is, if we are hard-hearted with material desires? Material desires makes the heart hard. There's no scope for the heart to become soft. And it's not that softness of this material world. Oh, ayo, papa, so bad. This is not softness. This is material hardness, because that will prevent actual spiritual softness to come in. So for that we have to read, then our heart has to melt, hearing something about Krishna. Then we are talking. Then that is the real path of devotional service. Till then whatever we are doing is just to get to that path of being attracted towards Krishna somewhere or somehow or the other. Okay. So one of our goals should be to give up meaning get over this mechanical devotional service. That's why Prabhupada, when the word bhakti is used, he says loving devotional service, because it should be full of emotions towards Krishna, feelings. Okay. Any question? No questions, then we'll stop here. Okay. Then stop here. We'll continue verses tomorrow. Krishna willing. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pancha kalpatarubhyashta kripa sindhubhyacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Devotee Vaishnava ki jai.